My mom put peanuts in every dish at Thanksgiving. My niece is allergic to it.
She really hates your niece.
My sister's 8-year-old daughter is overweight, not obese, just chubby. It's been a point of contention between our mom and my sister for at least a year. By the way, this comes from user Peanut Demons, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And we're here collectively to give good advice goofily, because that's what we are. We're just a bunch of goofballs. We don't know everything, so let us know the things that you know.
Yeah.
Down in the comments.
Yeah.
After an incident on July 4th where mom told my niece she was fat,
God.
and when my niece asked her what to do, she said something along the line of, just stop eating. Sis stopped bringing her around our mom. Yeah, sounds about right. We just flat out cut her out of my niece's life. To this day, my mom thinks she did the right thing for her granddaughter's health. The current incident is Thanksgiving, and it was at Mom's this year. It was going to be the first time they were physically in the same place since the 4th. My niece is deathly allergic to peanuts. Literally, they all carry an EpiPen. Her throat closes up. Mom used peanuts in almost every dish and dessert except for the vegetables. Niece could safely eat the Brussels sprouts, salad, sweet potatoes, and turkey. That was it. Everything else, the green bean casserole, the stuffing, the pies, the cookies, the hors d'oeuvres, the candied yams, Mom had, according to her, added some kind of peanut product to. If my sister wasn't going to teach her daughter how to eat healthy, then she would. Dang it. My sister and her husband left, and I went with them, along with our brother and his wife and their kids. So basically most of the party. I get being concerned about a person's health because of their weight, but my niece is so young. Yeah, maybe if she becomes problematically overweight to it affecting her health later on, bring it up. But not now, and not in such a crappy way. And we have some comments here. Yeah.
Yikes, yikes, yikes. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad the whole party left, as they should.
Yeah, this feels like some sort of weird projection on your mom's part, to where it's like she feels like a duty, like a divine duty.
Well, because mom probably has a really crappy relationship with food and is like, well, if I have this, like, this is how everyone should have a relationship with food.
Don't you know, child?
I cast food insecurity on you.
Yes, you should feel shame. Feel shame and bad. I want you to feel bad for eating food, as one should.
Insane.
Well, comments. Comment number 1 says, oh my goodness, your mother is insane. Not the a-hole. If I know someone has an allergy to a food, I avoid cooking with it at all. I can't imagine purposefully putting an allergen into the majority of a meal to ensure someone doesn't eat it. Does she not realize that your niece might have eaten something without realizing it had peanuts in it? OP says, yeah, that was the thing. She's 8. She's been told and knows she can't eat peanuts. But do you trust an 8-year-old in front of a bunch of cookies not to grab one? Comment 2 says, the woman is genuinely delulu. Someone uses the wrong spoon to serve something and the kid is in anaphylaxis. What is actually wrong with her? I'd never set foot in her home again. It's not safe. OP said, OMFG, I never even thought about the serving spoons. Comment 3, this is effed up. Not the a-hole. She could have literally unalived your niece. There is no guarantee that the non-peanut products weren't cross-contaminated. As someone who was an overweight child and overweight most of my life, I vividly remember every negative comment that family members made about me. It did not help me lose weight at all, but it did make me hate and fear my family members. Honestly, assuming this is all true, none of you should ever speak to your mother again. Wow. I mean, I think that's going a little far.
No, not really.
Well, I mean,
she would be on very low contact.
We're definitely not going to Thanksgiving at her place.
I'm not bringing my kid to anything that there's food at.
But it's like,
you're trying to actually off my child.
Well,
because you think she's overweight.
Well, like
she's
you said,
8.
this is coming clearly from some place of she has her own weird, messed up relationship with food.
She needs to fix that, and then I'll reconsider coming around.
But you can't fix it by just never speaking to them again. But she's,
of
course, not hosting Thanksgiving.
I'm having
I don't know.
a crazy flashback to when I worked at a nut-free summer camp, and I was like a coach counselor.
Yeah.
And the kitchen accidentally brought in fully just peanut muffins.
Yeah.
And me and someone else figured it out, and we went around basically slapping these muffins out of these girls because we had so many EpiPen kids. We're like, put the muffin down.
OP replies, To be honest, I have no way to prove to you this is true, but if you knew our mom, you'd be like, yep. I also don't know that it's true. I don't know for sure that mom added peanuts to all the things. And yeah, her parents left with the idea that if you put peanuts in everything but a few things, it's dangerous for the kid to be there. Would you trust an 8-year-old to not grab a cookie? Third commenter says, wait, now I feel like this is missing a key part. How do you know that there were peanuts in all the things? But yes, as someone who works with young children with allergies, you never trust them to not eat it. You control the environment so it isn't an issue. OP says, I don't know. Mom just said she had. So you do know, because she said she did.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it was actually there or not. She's still doing the, whole food restrictive thing.
Yeah, and we do have an update now from 2 days later. My siblings and I have all gone no contact, and my sister is looking into pressing charges. As soon as she said that, Mom claimed she'd lied. There weren't peanuts in anything. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much to everyone who commented. I ended up showing this to my sister, and she read basically each and every one in tears. Sometimes you need to hear an outside voice or several hundred outside voices. And there's another update 4 days later. I mean, hey,
Mom
no contact.
Cuckoo.
I have a few updates, the first being pressing charges. This is going to be long. I'm verbose. I'll try to contain myself. I didn't know about this because I live further away from everything than my siblings, but once Sis started to consider legal action, she asked our brother to go to our parents, apologize, and ask Mom for a plate of leftovers. He recorded everything on his phone to prove it'd been Thanksgiving leftovers. They then went through everything to look for any evidence of peanuts and didn't find anything either visually or via taste. This was at the behest of my brother-in-law, who said if there was proof of peanuts in the food, he wanted to pursue much harsher legal charges, which, yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. But it does sound like she just said everything had peanuts in it so she wouldn't eat it and didn't actually put the peanuts in there.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I don't care.
matter.
It's like putting,
I
put razor blades in all the food, but the ones that, she's supposed to eat,
it mattered just from the legal perspective.
just all bad.
To push for the decision on whether or not to go, harsher. Yeah, I get, actually checking the food. But she still is enough to be like, we're not really going to come around.
Yeah. There were some very expensive lab tests they could opt into, but decided not to. When it happened, we were all super pissed, and it was a 50-50 as to whether or not Mom would actually do what she had claimed. After a cooling off period, we were like, nah, she probably wouldn't, but let's check. Ultimately, the test was just for the legal case, which is still iffy. There's likely not a lot they can claim other than emotional damage, where my niece would have to come testify, and they don't see a reason for that. I don't either. My siblings and I have no plans to end no contact. My brother straight up messaged my mom after looking at the food and admitted to why he had asked for the plate. I don't have kids, but clearly both my siblings do, and they told her they're not comfortable with her around them. My siblings asked if I wanted to be included in the creation of a list of what Mom would have to do to get back into our lives that they were creating. But because I'm childless, I just said whatever they want in that list, I will back. As for my dad, unfortunately, our dad is in no condition to chime in either way. He's been suffering from dementia for about a decade. Mom is his full-time caretaker with a hand from occasional outside helpers and my siblings. The no contact would not include this. They have been clear, as have I. After reading the post, I can understand any concern about the awfulness on our mom's part. For all her faults, she has been an angel with our dad. He has more bad days than good, but one thing I have never doubted about our mom ever is her absolute and complete love for him. If everyone is allowed one redeeming quality, this is hers. I won't bore you with the horrific and cruel journey dementia has been, but kids and grandkids aside, she has been what you would dream a spouse would be if, God forbid, you had been afflicted. I would not wish dementia on my worst enemy, and I cannot explain the way the floor disappears under you when your dad asks, "Who are you?" Oof. But, by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this on your favorite podcast platforms like iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. All you have to do is search OK Storytime. And we have a little bit left of this story.
Woo.
But
that definitely makes the no contact difficult.
Well, it's no contact except for helping out with Dad.
I know, but I'm sure that makes it more complicated.
Yeah, it's not always black and white. Nothing ever is,
no.
95% of the time. But, yeah, I don't know. I would really be wanting to get to the meat of, why do we feel like this is so important that the 8-year-old isn't a little chubby,
Why does this seem like priority number one?
Why is this? Where's this coming from? You literally were like, I know what I'll say. I'll say I poisoned Thanksgiving dinner for my niece. And then everyone will think that's really cool.
Yeah.
No.
Except for the things I deem she can eat.
They were getting things lab tested to take you to jail. You'd want that rather than chubby niece.
A little crazy.
Anyway, let's finish this story. As for my niece, we've done our best to hide things, but kids pick up on things so easily, it's been a challenge. It's obviously not her fault, and because she just saw her grandma and didn't understand us walking out, my sister says she hasn't asked about it yet. Just to clarify, when I called her chubby in the original post, I didn't mean it in any derogatory way. Just that she had maybe a little bit of extra I'd never be concerned about on a kid. And there are comments, kids are allowed to be chubby. Kids are chubby. You can call a kid chubby. They're chubby if they're chubby. They're a little chubby. It's okay.
Say chubby.
Don't
like 5
apologize
more
for the
times.
chubby truth.
Yeah.
Was anyone chubby when they were kids?
Far
I
from
wasn't.
it.
I wasn't. I was always a little
I was a tiny little
bone
child.
man, skin and bone man, which is also a thing. Little scrawny boy, being a little scrawny, tiny, small
Bone
boy.
man.
Comments. Comment 1, you don't tell an 8-year-old to quit eating. You don't tell an adult to quit eating either, but at least adults can figure out what starvation mode does to you. Comment 2 says, I don't really understand what legal charges they could possibly pursue, like what OP's mom did was completely reprehensible and evil, but for one, she probably didn't even put peanuts in anything, and even if she did, 2, she said everything had peanuts on it. It's effed up bullying of a child and advanced fat shaming, but I don't know what the crime is supposed to be. I think Redditors have confused the fact that hiding allergens can be a crime with the general concept of serving food with allergens not being a crime, even if it's done in an incredibly rude way, and that is the end of that story.
My dad's wife crashed my daughter's birthday in a costume, so I banned her.
What costume is the most important question?
Kool-Aid Man.
Spider-Man.
Oh.
For context, my dad has been with Kathy for a little under 15 years. She's technically his third wife, so she's always been very insecure about her place in his family, which has unfortunately led her to become very needy and histrionic. By the way, this comes from Party Costume Throwaway. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Dakota.
And I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. As OP says, my daughter is turning 6 in February, and we're planning her birthday party. Last year, my husband and I threw her a Cinderella-themed party at our place. Oh no. My dad showed up without Kathy, who had claimed to be sick. It didn't bother me, but I remember feeling something was off. Near the end of the party, Kathy showed up in a Cinderella costume. She was acting in character and trying to interact with the kids. Neither me nor my husband had been informed she'd be doing that. At most, she'd asked me whether we were hiring any party performers a few weeks prior. I later found out she'd been planning to surprise my daughter and bought the costume the day she found out what the theme would be. My husband and I are still positive Kathy did this for attention. It didn't really work. My daughter recognized her immediately, but it did disrupt things a little. Because she did this around the time the kids were eating cake and some of the parents were getting ready to leave. We managed to sort things out, but it took some time and we still had to deal with a dozen confused preschoolers. It was a great party besides that, and our daughter enjoyed herself, which is what mattered most. But my husband and I asked Kathy not to do this again, and she agreed and apologized. I'm pretty sure she's planning on doing it again. We spent a lot of the time with my paternal family during the holidays, and I noticed Kathy was bringing up Cinderella's appearance at the party very frequently. She was reminiscing, showing pictures, and talking about what she'd do differently. She didn't talk to my kids about it much, but she did ask my daughter what theme she wanted for her party this year, and how she'd feel if one of the characters showed up.
It's just like, you mean if you showed up? No.
I really don't want to have to deal with this surprise again, especially if it comes with no warning like last time. We're also throwing this year's party at a venue, not at home, meaning we have a time slot to abide by. My husband and I spoke to Kathy about our concerns. She didn't say she was planning on showing up in costume, but she kept insisting that if she did, the kids would love it and it could be fun. We tried to make her promise she wouldn't do it, but she kept dodging it and claiming she didn't see the problem. Finally, we told her it would be best that she doesn't come at all. She can join us for the dinner we're having afterwards, but not the actual party. Now she's upset and my dad is angry at us. He firmly believes we're being paranoid and dramatic. I'm worried we're going too far, but I'm almost certain she is indeed planning on doing it again, and I don't want to risk having problems at the party. So am I the a-hole?
I mean, you could just go to her and be like, do not do this. If you do this, you will not be attending any future events. You will be at arm's length because this is a party for my kid, not for you to show up and be like the star of the show, which is, again, fine if that's going to happen, but it's not. We don't want it. And if we were going to hire someone, we'd hire a stranger that our daughter doesn't know.
Or Kim Fine's idea. Lean into the Cinderella thing. Bully her and make her clean before, after, and during the whole party.
Well, yeah, that works at first, but then you got to get her glass shoes and find her a husband.
Find her a
like,
prince, and then what's your dad gonna do?
Yeah, it's pretty, yeah.
Taking his
I don't
wife
know.
away. And we have some comments, and I gotta say, this top commenter, pretty good idea.
Okay.
Lucky Effective 1564. Not the a-hole, but you could tell her that you're having a Chewbacca party and see what happens.
Yeah, she just shows up full-blown Chewbacca.
I love it. OP says, LOL, I might just do that on my own birthday. Same Z15. This is one of those questions that could go either way. On the one hand, you're totally right to have your boundaries, and it's weird that she's trying to not only surprise your daughter, but also to surprise you. Why is she so obsessed with being a Disney princess? On the other hand, everything from you feels like a bit of an overreaction because it's just a princess costume. Unless you're getting creepy child predator vibes from her, she seems like she's just trying to do something fun for the kids. Maybe it was awkward because you made it awkward? No, it's awkward because Kathy's a little attention-seeking witch right now. At a 6-year-old child's birthday party.
Yeah, but you did make it more awkward by being like, you can't come at all. It should have just been like a very, hey, no, you wanted to show up in the costume, and I kind of get the feeling you want to do it again this year. Do not do that. If you do that again after we've explicitly said do not do that, then it's going to be weird.
This commenter's like shaming OP for being mad at the Cinderella thing, though. And I'm like...
Again, like, get mad? I don't know, but be weirded out? Yeah, it's like, well,
Yeah,
you
it's
should have
weird.
asked us because it's like she knew that you're you. So she knows you dressed up as Cinderella is just you dressed up as Cinderella.
But it is generally harmless. I don't know this lady, and I guess my judgment of the situation would depend on her actions outside of this. Does she frequently cross boundaries? Is she generally liked by your kids? Does she treat them well? Those kinds of things. Obi says, I think that's a fair assessment. I don't really care about the awkwardness potential. I care about it being done with no prior warning. There was a little girl at the party last year who started crying because she and her parents had to leave, but Cinderella had just arrived. I'm having this event thrown, so I want to know what will happen, especially this year. She's not very respectful of boundaries, but not the worst case in my family. She's the kind of person who does what she thinks other people should like instead of what they actually want. The kids like her but don't love her. And OP adds, I'm pretty sure I can tell the venue not to let her in, but I'll have to check. Old man Kibitzer says, not the a-hole. It sounds like she was absolutely planning to do it again. While I personally don't know what the problem is, being that you have a problem with it, then you need to address it. Also, if she's insecure about being the third wife, she shouldn't be doing things that upset the family. Opie says the problem is more of a time and child managing thing than anything else. If me, my husband, and the venue aren't aware, we can't control it. And it's difficult to manage these things with so many young kids around. We can't stay there after our time slot, so I don't want to risk anything being delayed. It's also very annoying in general. If I wanted a performer, I would hire one. But I'm more worried about the lack of warning. To another commenter, it's still a distraction that can derail things. I also have no way to guarantee she'll show up at an appropriate time. Cinderella literally interrupted cake last time.
Interrupted you.
How does that make you feel?
Your Christmas hams.
You don't interrupt cake. You don't interrupt me.
What?
You don't interrupt me. Never interrupt me. Did you try to interrupt me?
Yeah,
Yeah, it didn't work.
I did try. I just tried.
He's got all the power with his little switchy board over there.
He could mute me if he wanted. He won't.
Could you imagine if I had that power?
He won't. He
To
won't
just
do
mute.
that.
My power is just to mute Dakota. Hello, Dakota. You may speak.
Okay.
Select negotiation 87, not the a-hole. But oh my god, LMAO. Tell her this year's theme is the Hunchback of Notre Dame. See, the thing is everyone's suggestions, they all have a very fun, lovely female character that she would just dress up as instead.
Yeah.
She'd be like, oh, you want Hunchback of Notre Dame? I will dress up as main lady from it.
She's like, you doing
forget her
dinosaurs?
name.
I'm Laura Dern.
You're doing
What up?
Chewbacca? I'm dressing as,
Princess Leia.
yeah, Leia.
Yeah. You're doing Knights of the Round Table. I'm dressing up as the sword.
I thought you were going to say the round table.
I'm dressing up as a round table.
You're halfway through cake and the table starts moving and you're like, wait, what is this? OP says, we've made it very clear that this is more difficult to manage than it seems, but she refuses to accept it. She sadly already knows the theme, obviously, will be K-pop demon hunters this year.
Yeah.
Who could have guessed it? Maybe she just wants to help. She could help me set up party favors or write invitations, but she doesn't want to do that. She wants to be the entertainment. Be more blunt or direct. I feel like it's hard to be as blunt as we're being now. We've told her multiple times, in several different ways, do not show up in a costume. She's not outright admitting she's planning on trying again. But she keeps dodging it and saying she's sure the kids will love it. And for the record, my kids didn't really like it last year. Again, my daughter recognized her right away. How old is Kathy again?
I'm not
This
sure.
is her dad's
sure.
husband showing up like Cinderella and now presumably Rumi.
It's
Like this is like a relatively old lady
it's just the
popping in here as Cinderella.
the notion that it's like, yeah, someone that
No age. I can't
know.
find an age for Kathy.
But it's still like it's this 6-year-old's grandma showing up as Cinderella.
it's just like, well, she knows you. Regardless of anything else, you're an old, crusty Cinderella. But she knows you, so it's not going to be like Cinderella's here. It's going to be like your step grandma is here,
Right, and now you're
And
going
you
to show
know
up as
it.
Rumi?
and that's not really that fun.
Why is Kathy doing this? I genuinely think this is because of her insecurities. She's the younger third wife who showed up when her husband's children were growing and his family was sick of caring about his relationship history. So she tries to take whatever chance she gets to assert herself as part of the family. As my husband puts it, Kathy acts like she's allergic to not having eyes and ears on her. She's been like this for as long as she's been around. But it gets worse and more ridiculous as time goes by. It's been especially bad since I had kids. Most comments were not the a-hole, and we have an update 5 days later.
Yeah, she is main character syndrome
Yeah, to the max.
to the max. To the point where she is showing up as the main character.
Yeah, 5 days later. So I have a love/hate relationship with being right. My dad called me 2 days after I posted. There's a purple wig at his place that's styled suspiciously similar to Rumi from K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh my goodness.
Who could have guessed that? Certainly not any of
just-
us.
But
Don't
how is
do
she
it.
gonna sing the song? I
Don't.
need to hear Golden at peak performance, and
my
if she
God.
misses one note,
I need her
one
to
word,
spontaneously outfit change between all 3 of them.
Why do this?
She's so crazy.
Why?
What is Kathy doing?
After it was so clear, we don't
Right.
want this.
Is she
At
gonna
least now
sing
there's no
Korean?
denial from Kathy because it's like, oh, you weren't going to show up doing that? What is this braided purple wig doing here
It's-
that is Rumi's?
Just the same purple wig everyone has. Nothing to
Oh,
see
yeah?
here.
You've got that purple wig.
Everyone
Dakota?
has the same purple wig.
You should just
You
like
should wear
make
that
it.
to work tomorrow.
You should just like try and throw her off like the track of like what the kids want. Like, oh yeah, what's like I can't think of something like really like I know they said the Hunchback, but like something else that like she can
Yeah,
really
the
get
issue
into.
was she already talked to the kids about it.
I
and
know.
stuff.
That's why like next time.
You'd have to get really far ahead of it.
Just like
But honestly, would there even be a next time? She's already proved she can't be trusted twice.
third
Yeah.
time's the charm.
He opened Kathy's mail thinking it was his and found it. The costume itself is set to arrive in about a week. She wasn't planning on telling him about either. He's claiming they fought because neither the costume nor the wig were cheap. But he also felt the need to tell me she'd been watching the movie repeatedly to study and that she cares so much and that isn't it so sweet how much Kathy loves my kids? And maybe my daughter would like it this time. That was all I heard before I went to look for a pillow to scream into. I'm done. This made me a lot angrier than it should have, but it isn't the first time someone in my family decides my plans and the effort I put in don't mean crap. And if I can't even plan my own child's birthday party without someone trying to butt in, I don't have to feel bad about drawing the line. Kathy is officially banned from the party. My husband and I have alerted the venue that we didn't hire any character performers, And if any Caucasian-looking Korean pop stars show up, they must tell her to go home. We also gave them a picture of her. They basically told us they can't let anyone who's not on the guest list inside anyway, so she won't be allowed. I feel horrible about making them deal with my family drama, but at least that's one less thing to worry about. My dad and I did fight about this, but I put my foot down. He kept arguing that it wouldn't be a big deal if I just let Kathy have this. I told him that's not the point. If he's not the one who's going to have to manage the situation, he doesn't get to tell me how hard it is to do it. In the end, this is what we settled on. My dad can come to the birthday party, as long as Kathy doesn't tag along. If she does, they're both out. Both of them can still join us for dinner later. I'm also thinking about lowering my contact with both my dad and Kathy. I love my dad, but no headache is worth this. I want to wait until I'm calmer to work out the details. I want to thank everyone. I've got a lot going on in my life, and my therapist is on vacation, so it feels good to rant about this. But for my own sanity, I'm going to focus on relaxing for the next couple of weeks. I already feel much lighter knowing this is over. We have some of OP's comments. Sarah secrets the dad trying to frame her studying a movie to hijack a toddler's party as sweet instead of unhinged is some world-class enabling. Opie says, happens a lot, even when he disagrees with her. Valuable job at 79.56. You know she'll show up for dinner in the costume, right? Opie says it's not the same thing. If she shows up in costume at a party full of small kids without warning, it's easy for history to repeat itself. If she shows up in costume at a restaurant in which the only children present will be family, and there wouldn't be any real excuse for a character performer to be there, at worst, she embarrasses herself. Paisley Viking said, when's the party? You know we all want an update. And you're not the a-hole. If she oversteps and you allow it, the oversteps are going to get bigger and bigger. Opie says, I'm not sure I'll update again. I'm pretty confident she won't come to the party. If I truly don't update, it's because nothing happened, and the venue reassured me nothing will. When several comments say Kathy will show up anyway, Kathy will not be allowed inside the venue, costume or not. If my dad shows up with her, she will be asked to leave, and I won't let him in either. She can't be allowed inside the venue without being on the guest list. They know who she is, what she looks like. Doesn't matter if she's in costume or not. There's zero chance Kathy is coming to the party. But you guys can join us for a party of listening to episodes of stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime.
Yeah. I see some comments from Cassandra just being like, I mean, yeah, I'd just be like, Granny's coming as roomie, whatever. But I think the problem is that she doesn't want it to be, she wants it to be like her own thing, and she wants it to be a secret. And the problem was that last time she like disrupted the flow because it was like everything was winding down. It's the end of the party. They're doing cake. People are going to be ready to leave.
That were leaving.
And then she showed up, and now all the kids they're about to leave are like, I don't want to leave. Cinderella's got you. So it's like, that's frustrating.
There's also like the basic principle of like, why can't you just listen? Like, you're just refusing boundaries at this point. Like, that's a problem. You're a grown adult. Like, grow up. You're not a Disney princess. Pumpkin Witch 13 says, I was a character performer, and this is wild. There's a reason why we're scheduled and reasons why we're hired. The odds that Kathy can sound and look both like Cinderella from Disney and a K-pop demon hunter is just wild. And she's like, what, 50, 60 too? I don't mean to be judgmental, but kids can tell something might not be right if Cinderella went from being 18 to 58. The most important rule to being a performer is doing nothing that would break the facade that the character is real. Opie says exactly. I have a friend who used to be a party princess, and she cringed when I told her what happened. Kathy's in her 40s. She does look younger, but not enough to pass as these characters. When she dressed as Cinderella last year, she didn't wear a wig. She's blonde and wore the same makeup she always wears, so there was no chance my daughter wouldn't have recognized her. That's the end of that story.
My brother skipped my bachelor party for Rome, and it broke me.
What if we moved the bachelor party to Rome?
All roads lead to Rome. I, 33 male, grew up with siblings, 27 male and 32 female, and both of my parents. I've always been very close with my siblings, genuinely best friends growing up. We shared everything, supported each other, and had a very stable family environment. That closeness has always been one of the most important things in my life. By the way, this comes from user professional dog 1349. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. When I was in high school, I became close friends with a boy at school. We'll call him James, 33, male. He had a really difficult home life and often came back to my house after school. My mom quickly treated him like family, and he used to stay at our house on and off regularly. Although my parents never officially adopted him, he's always included in family events and considered another son. We've always got on really well. He's funny, kind, and has been through some genuinely awful things in his life. My mom and I have always supported him through difficult periods, visiting him in hospital, checking in constantly, and helping practically where we could. It always felt like normal family stuff. We go on a family holiday every year, and my parents have always paid for him to come with us. However, over the past few years, I've started noticing some things that have really begun to niggle at me. One important thing to mention is that James is very money-focused. I understand that this likely comes from growing up with instability and trauma, and I do try to be compassionate about that. But when it comes to birthdays and Christmas, there's a big imbalance. As a family, we spend quite a lot on him. He usually gives gifts too, but they're low cost, and a couple of times he hasn't gotten me a birthday present at all. I noticed this early on because I've always gone out of my way to make his birthday special, and he has never done the same for me. At the time, I justified it because I had a well-paid job and more disposable income, so it felt fair that I'd spend more. I do the same with my biological siblings. The difference is that they have never forgotten my birthday. If my biological brother can't afford a gift, he makes an effort in other ways and gets creative with making something personal, which I absolutely love. James has never done anything like that. Over the last couple of years, I've also noticed that James only seems to join us for activities, movies, holidays, meals out, if someone is paying. As a family, we're careful with money when we eat out. We choose places with deals and don't order the most expensive options. James, however, often adds extras like starters, sides, or items that aren't included in the deal. In the past, this didn't bother me much. My parents were still working and I had a good income, but things have changed. My parents are now retired and I've been unwell and only been able to work a few hours a week for the last few years. I've had to dip into my savings during this time. Although I've been entitled to benefits, I haven't been claiming them as I don't feel right about it. Well, that's silly. You can't work more than a couple hours a week for years? Get your benefits.
Get those benefits.
Take your benefits. What are we paying for?
Benefits.
Take them. My savings have been steadily shrinking, and I'm now pretty broke. James, on the other hand, is doing relatively well financially. He receives benefits and works part-time, lives in his own place, and has a decent amount of savings. I am extremely frugal. I don't buy things unless I've thought about them for a long time. I bought a new phone about a year and a half ago and my first TV and laptop a few years ago. James, however, seems to buy new devices constantly. iPhones, iPads, smartwatches, gaming computers, PS5, new games, new laptop. You name it, he has it. That in itself isn't a problem. People can spend their money however they like. The issue comes when I said I wouldn't be able to do big presents as I don't have much money. He told me that I can afford Christmas presents because I have savings. That's a wild thing to say to anybody ever.
Especially when you're this dude that's like, I can't buy you a present. I have nothing. And is buying Xboxes and other gaming stuff.
Yeah, just buying all this stuff, forgets your birthday multiple times, and then it's like, yeah, I know your family took me in and stuff. I can't get you a birthday present. Also, buy me more Christmas presents now.
Sound like a little stinky poo-poo man.
Yeah, a little entitled.
Very.
He has previously said he won't dip into his savings for anything, which I actually think is sensible, but it doesn't sit right that he expects me to use my savings for him. There are many other examples where James will happily spend money on activities with friends, but won't do the same when it comes to us. The biggest incident happened recently. I got engaged and had been planning what I wanted to do for my bachelor party for ages. I decided on a themed weekend away with only close friends and family. We waited for a special deal. For £335, it included 2 nights, all meals, entertainment, lunches, and drinks. It was in a beautiful location with amazing grounds and a swimming pool. I know that's a lot of money, but you hopefully only get married once and celebrate a bachelor party once. We booked it 6 months in advance, so it would have only meant saving about £60 a month. James said he couldn't come unless someone paid for him. James, buddy! James, what are we doing?
Do it.
Sell one iPad.
Why do we have so many gaming consoles?
Or just, save $60 a month, right? My parents offered to pay a third of it as a present, but even then, he said no. Of course, no one should spend money they don't have. But closer to the date, I found out he was going to Rome on that exact weekend.
You have Rome money, though?
Got money for Rome? Going to Rome instead of my bachelor party on the same weekend. He said it was a last-minute plan and that he had more money now as he had started working. I won't lie, I was really hurt. It felt like he couldn't afford to celebrate with us, but could afford to go abroad for no particular occasion. I mentioned it to him in a jokey way, and he said he didn't have the money at the time and that Rome was cheaper anyway.
Okay, we don't mention this in a jokey way. You're actually upset. We say, hey, I'm actually really upset that you're choosing to go to Rome when you found this money and you don't want to come to my bachelor party.
Like,
he's not going to Rome, Italy. He's going to Rome, Ohio.
Yeah, he's actually, which would probably be more expensive because I think this is in
Probably.
Europe. Yeah, so,
Rome, New York.
man, you just gotta really go to this guy and be like, dude, you were my brother. We took you in. Like, I lived with you essentially. Like,
I'm
you're a part of our family. You're ditching me for a trip to Rome, and you ditched me because you said you couldn't afford it. What are you doing?
Now we're saying we have a better job and we can afford it.
What are we doing? Do you not like me? What I'd be saying.
Be like, I like Rome.
I don't like calling him a liar, but flights, accommodation, and food in Rome surely costs more than £335 or even $225 once my parents' contribution is deducted. It just made me feel unvalued, like he only engages with us when we're providing something for him. I know his upbringing involved trauma and instability, but at this point we're all adults. Is it unreasonable to expect more balance and reciprocity? I already feel like I put more into this relationship, financially, emotionally, and practically. I could also talk about how he invalidates my feelings when I open up. When I was struggling mentally and in my relationship, he told me I didn't understand mental health or relationship issues. I know what he went through was awful, but I'd never compare our experiences. That doesn't mean I haven't had my own trauma. I love him, but I've stopped talking to him about how I'm feeling because he makes me feel worse. So my question is this. Would I be the a-hole if I got him smaller Christmas presents this year, similar in value to what he gets me, while still spending more on my siblings who do the same for me? I've already told everyone not to expect much this year because I genuinely don't have the money. It wouldn't be hugely noticeable. I'm asking because I honestly don't know if I'm being unfair. If I'm honest, I don't have the courage of my convictions and would struggle to do this without reassurance. There is an update.
Oh my God.
Dude, no.
No. Don't get this man anything big.
Literally asking if you'd be the a-hole if you still got him Christmas presents.
Right. I thought
that
you were going to
just
be like,
aren't
if I got
expensive.
him nothing. Like,
Yeah.
Nah.
I would have gotten him a single picture frame, and it would be
Frame a
like,
photo
yeah,
from Rome.
you can put a picture of Rome in here.
Yes. Do love that so much.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Come on, man. But we gotta be
Oh.
real about it. We gotta
And-
just actually let him know what we're thinking.
Yeah. Don't frame it in a jokey way. You can actually be upset.
Even back at the going to dinners and stuff.
Yeah.
No one being like, hey, don't order 2 appetizers and a side.
Why are we never telling this man no?
You know, we got to give him some constraints. And there's an update. Thank you for all the comments, especially those who were particularly thoughtful in their responses. I don't think James is deliberately mooching or taking advantage. I think these behaviors are probably unconscious. As someone explained in the comments, it's likely a trauma response from growing up with nothing and trying to get whatever you can. Having said that, it's not a good way to continue as adults. There needs to be more reciprocity in our relationship. I think these are just the roles we've fallen into, and that needs to change. I've decided he will get less for Christmas, and then I'll sit down with him and explain how I've been feeling recently. The outcome of that conversation will determine how our relationship looks going forward. I've spoken to my mom and siblings about this, and they're roughly on the same page. They're a bit more sympathetic towards James, which is understandable given how long he's been a part of our family. And as for benefits, yes, I should claim them. I've been finding it really difficult to accept my current circumstances and have been viewing it as a failure, which is stupid. Your comments gave me the push I needed. I filled in the form for ESA benefits and national insurance credits today, and hopefully that will be sorted in the new year. I could apply for universal credit and PIP in the future, but I've at least made the first steps. I'll update you after Christmas once I've had the conversation with James. To answer a few questions, yeah, he definitely did go to Rome. I saw the photos. Give him the benefit of the doubt. I didn't tell him how much it meant to me to have him at my stag do, so that is partially my fault. No, it's entirely your fault. You gotta speak up.
Stop beating
Stand
around the
up for
bush.
yourself.
Yeah.
We can either communicate what we want or what we feel, or we can just accept the fact that we get whatever happens. You can't do both. You can't be mad
Not
while
saying it.
not expressing
I mean,
anything.
He needs to be called out.
but it's a very stupid way of going about
Yeah.
it.
But I'll tell you something that you can do, and that's listen to full episodes with stories just like this one on your favorite podcast platforms like iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to podcasts. All you have to do is search OK Storytime. There's a little bit left of this story. Why didn't we just sit down and have this conversation with James before we even posted this?
Yeah.
Probably doesn't like confrontation.
I hope there is a conversation with James in here.
Nobody likes confrontation, except for, like, George Clooney's character from Up in the Air, whose job is to just fire people. That's a guy who likes confrontation. But not a great... Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this. Just talk to your freaking guy. Talk to him. Okay. Yes, James has already had counseling and is currently in weekly therapy. It might also be a good idea for me to get counseling, too. I'll have to wait a few months on the NHS as I can't afford to go private, but it's something I'll pursue. Lastly, someone mentioned that he might still not feel fully part of the family. That really rang true for me. When he's around extended family or family friends, he often tries to prove how close he is to us. That makes sense if he's insecure about the place in the family. Thank you for helping me see that. Thanks again for all the support. And that is the end of that story.